All right, so this is another review for transformations. I'm not going to spend too much time going over it, but I'm just going to recap the rules just really quickly. Here's the parentheses of that function. If it's a plus or minus, so if you see a plus or minus right there, it's a shift in the x or y axis. If you have multiplication, that means you have a number right here, like 3 here or 2 here, or maybe even a half or a third. It doesn't really even matter what it is. If you have a number there, that is going to be multiplication. Greater than 1 is going to be a stretch. All right, so anything bigger than 1. So if you have 1.5, if you have 3 over 2, that's going to be a stretch. Or if you have a fraction less than 1, those are fractions like 1/2. That's going to be a fraction less than. If it's a stretch, if you had 3 over 2, the numerator is 3. It's bigger than the denominator. That means if you put that in the calculator, you're going to see it's bigger than 1. All right, negatives, which is usually either going to be right here or right here. Okay, those are flips or reflections over the x and the y axis. Or inside the parent function, it's going to be x and opposite. So very important to remember. If it's outside the parentheses, it's y and regular. And negatives are opposite no matter where they are. So if they're inside, you normally would think, oh, it's x, but really it's going to be y. If it's outside, you think, oh, it's y, but it's really going to be x. So negatives are opposite no matter where they are. Okay, so here's a question. So here are my parentheses. Am I inside or outside? I'm inside, right? So I'm going to choose inside. All right. What is minus 3 doing? It is addition or subtraction. Is it multiplication or is it a negative? Well, it is adding or subtracting 3. So this is subtract 3. Okay. So if I'm subtracting 3 and I'm inside, remember your x-axis, is it the x opposite or y regular? Because I just said I'm inside, it's x opposite, which is right there. And so what does that do? So remember it's x opposite, which means instead of subtracting 3, I'm going to do the opposite, which means I'm going to add 3. Now, if you think of your x-axis, so I've done it right here. X-axis right here goes left and right, whereas the y-axis goes up and down. So if it is your x-axis, all right, and you're going plus 3, you're going to be going to the right. And that's how you read that. This one is outside. So you're subtracting 3. It's addition and subtraction. Subtract 3 outside. Outside is which letter? Y and regular. Okay, so what do you think subtracting 3 on the y-axis, that means you're going up or you're going down, is going to do? You're going to go down 3. And then since it's exactly what you think it is, you're really shifting, and this is an error, and I'm going to check to see if you're listening. Instead of shifting up, you're actually shifting down because it's what you think. This is a multiplication, again, because I have 1/3 times x. This one is minus 3, but this is 1/3 times x. All right, if it's inside, remember you're multiplying inside, it's x and opposite. So if it's a less than 1, which is less than 1, so you think it's going to be a shrink, right? But it's going to be the opposite, which is going to be what? A stretch. In what direction? Horizontal. And all these notes are right here. You can see that's your x-axis. The key word for x-axis is going to be horizontal. This is your y-axis. It's going to go up and down, which the key word is going to be vertical. That's a horizontal stretch. This one is outside. So if it's outside, it's what? Y and regular. So I'm multiplying, right, by a small fraction because it's less than 1. It's going to be what I think. So small is going to mean that I'm trying to shrink it, and that means I'll have a vertical shrink. Negatives, reflections. So you see they say reflections. You can either have one outside or you can have it inside. It's going to be opposite no matter where you think. So outside is usually Y, right? But it's going to be opposite, so it's going to be reflect over X. Inside is usually X and opposite, but it's going to be opposite. So instead of reflecting over X, you're going to reflect over Y. All right, so that's just a quick recap. Let's practice.